Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about some of the recommended books for history of English literature. And this list is basically based on the concept of the ease of access or their availability in the marketplace or at your institutional libraries. I will be telling you about some basic things about these books, and after listening to this video, you will have an idea as to which book suits your mind and your understanding and your approach to history. But before we talk about these books, I would like to invite your attention to the two websites that I have mentioned at the top of this page. One is the pdfdrive.com and then the en.bookfeed.net. I have personally searched these two websites and I am pretty sure that you can get most of these books except the second one about which I will be talking later, but most of these books can be obtained from these two websites. And once you search these two websites, I am sure that you will get access and you will find some more interesting books about history. So let's start with the first book that I have brought for you, and that is A Critical History of English Literature by David Duchess. This is in several volumes, from volume 1 to volume 4. I have mentioned only two. But the good thing about these volumes is that they are not separate four books, but most of the times in the marketplace you will get hold of them as one book. It was published somewhere in the 1960s, and the one edition that I have is from the 1970, and it was published by Ronald Press Company. It comprises of some 1178 pages. So this is a huge book, and let me tell you that I personally started my course of English studies with this book. And the good thing about David Duchess is that he writes in greater detail and he quotes profusely from the original texts, giving you a taste of what he is talking about. And then he is very critical and also very informative regarding the contents that he has selected from the history of English literature. Okay, another thing about this book is that if you read this book, you will rarely miss any important event in the history. Another good point about David Duchess is that, as I told you, that he talks in greater detail, but there is a problem that may be faced by many students, particularly those who are not native speakers, especially from India and Pakistan and these countries whose native language is not English. They may somehow find it difficult to follow what David Duchess is saying. So in the beginning, I would not be recommending you to start straight away with this book if you are struggling with English. The best approach for you will be to keep another source along with this book, that if ever you feel confused, you can consult that easier option in order to first develop or try to clarify your concept. But I assure you that if you want to excel in history, if you want to make your mark in the history of English literature, you must have this book with you. Coming to the second one. The second one is basically Encyclopedia Britannica. When we talk about this encyclopedia, we can say that this is among the oldest English language general encyclopedias. This is not about history of English literature. It covers almost all major fields of life. And when we talk about its hard copy, it actually exists in almost 32 volumes. Earlier they had 30 volumes, but now they have made it up to 32. And perhaps it was last published somewhere around 2010 or 2012. And this process began in maybe many years, or even like so many centuries ago. As far as its content is concerned, the contents are interesting. The English is not that difficult, but when you read its hard form, you don't expect yourself to be buying it in normal circumstances. So what you do is that in most of the institutional libraries at your university or colleges, this encyclopedia is the part and parcel of the English section. So there you can go and you can have a look at the different topics, and I hope that Encyclopedia Britannica is not going to disappoint you when you try to identify or locate a particular topic in history. The good thing about Encyclopedia Britannica is that now it is available online, but I am not going to talk about its online version because that will be included in our next video when we will be talking about online sources that you can consult for improving your understanding of English history. The third book that I have brought for you is by Michael Alexander, and this is for me comprehensive and fulfilling the needs of the beginners. It covers most of the topics, and it provides you summaries and outlines and even suggested questions in the end. It has a review of each chapter, then it talks in a very logical and systematic manner, presentable manner when it comes to the hard copy of the book, about the biographies of different authors, and then the chronological presentation of different historical events or writings. It also contains definitions of important terms and concepts, and this is basically more organized when it comes to reading it as a beginner student. So if I compare the first one written by David Duchess and the third one by Michael Alexander, there is a difference of the approach. For me, David Duchess is more philosophical, more scholarly, and he may not be expected to cater to the needs of the beginners. So in a sense, at advanced levels, David Duchess is going to help you a lot, and in the beginning stages, Michael Alexander will help you in understanding and clarifying your basic concepts. Coming to the fourth one, it is an outline, and as indicated in the name, you can say that this is very basic and a shorter one. You can take the idea that this book is of less than 400 pages. So then you can safely say that it would help the beginners in a concise manner, but it won't help much with advanced learning of history. When you get to know about the people who have studied this book, they will say that Hudson has made a decent attempt, but for making the book shorter, clearer and concise, he has compromised mentioning or explaining significant and important topics. Like when you read his discussion over the Renaissance, the Elizabethan age, or maybe even classicism and romanticism, or the university wits, you can say that it falls short of your requirement as a student of history of English literature. So again, Hudson may be less useful for advanced learners and more useful for beginners, and particularly those beginners who feel that they have less exposure and lesser understanding of the history of English literature. Then we have the fifth and the sixth one, and as indicated by the names of these authors, unfortunately I have forgotten H here, but this Dr. T. Singh and Dr. B.R. Mullick, these two books, I want to combine discussion over these two books. They are basically the creation of, you can say, two teachers or two experts, non-native speakers, in a sense that they know the problems and the needs of our students, particularly from the Asian subcontinent, and based on their needs and requirements, they have attempted to compose and to write their books in order to cater to the needs of the subcontinent students. But when it comes to me, let me be very clear that I don't have any biased approach towards either of these books or these authors. My job is to expose things in front of you and to enable you to make an informed decision. So when you talk about Dr. T. Singh and Dr. B.R. Mullick, you can imagine that most of the times their approach is from the examination point of view. They believe, or they have this idea as to what the students of English literature are going to expect in their exams. So sometimes you will come across their histories in question forms or more related topic, and of course they will be writing in greater details about other topics also. I'm not saying that these are exam oriented books, but I believe that if compared with the first and the third book by David Duchess and Mike Alexander, they may not be very much valuable. Okay, there may be a good thing about these two books. The good thing is that they will be writing in simpler English. Their words may not be that much difficult in comparison to David Duchess in particular. So in that sense, those students who feel that their English is still in want of improvement and they don't have a decent store of vocabulary, in that sense, these two books are really going to make a difference with reference to conceptual clarity and understanding of the history. So even if you want to make a start with either of these two books and they are easily available in the market, then I would recommend that you select either of these two, but please don't get rid of this book. This book is going to be there with you as your companion, and this man is going to guide you and to help you in the rest of your English courses, and his book is going to be of help when you are studying poets and dramatists and novelists and other prose writers in other courses of your degree. The last book that I have brought for you is by Andrew Sanders. This book was first published in 1994 and it has more than 600 pages, and it is in a sense, you can say, consisting of 10 chapters which are pretty good. Pretty hard work is done, and they are having some details about various historical events and personalities. It covers literature to a considerable degree till the 1950s from the beginning, like right from the Anglo-Saxon period to the 1950s. So if I'm going to compare this book, I will take this book with Michael Alexander. For me, many students may not be finding much differences except for the content and the manner of presentation of these authors. Andrew Sanders and Michael Alexander can be categorized in one category. So after this discussion, if you start again, you say that David Duchess stands alone. He is a singular figure in the list of authors that have talked about history of English literature. Then, of course, Encyclopedia Britannica is different, and Michael Alexander can be placed with Andrew Sanders. So if you are selecting, you can either go for Andrew Sanders or for Michael Alexander. And then Teesing and B.R. Mullick can be placed in one category. This book number 4 may be enough, or maybe a good book to start with, but it cannot be retained for a longer period if you are more interested in exploring and adventuring in the field of history of English literature. So I hope that you liked this discussion. If you have any question or query, you can ask, but please be sure that this list is not exhaustive. It is actually based on the availability of these material online and in the marketplace or in your institutional libraries. There may be many other good books of history that you can explore and then you can learn from. Thank you very much.